I would now like to invite Rabbi Binyomin Septon to the stage, to the live show. Welcome. Where are you? There we are. All right. Rabbi Binyomin Septon is the executive director of Yeshiva Yesodei HaTorah in Toronto, where he has led for over 11 years. He manages a $10.5 million budget, oversees every aspect of the school's operations, and has built infrastructure that continues to elevate its brand and impact. He also serves on several nonprofit boards in Toronto and is known for his forward-thinking and decisive leadership. Wan. All right. Welcome. Nice seeing you. All right, so your topic is a topic that I think we're all guilty of at varying degrees, right? The idea of raising money in the off season. So using, I guess baseball or sports terminology, that when you're not in the thick of it, when you're not like, okay, I've got a crowdfunding campaign in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and it's time to make an ask. What happens during the rest of the year? So I want to ask you a question. You were saying like there's a litmus test. The idea of saying, okay, like how that looks like, how I feel when I go into that solicitation right before the campaign can often be an indication of what kind of a work I need to do to make it better. Give me a little bit of understanding of at least to be able to decide, is there work to be done with this person beyond the actual campaign time?
Yeah. So first of all, most of us, for sure myself, we wear many, many hats, and to go ahead and do what they say we're supposed to do, which is, moves management. If you ever taken Yaakov Cohen's course, which is an amazing course, I highly recommend it.
Yes, it is.
It's not something that's always so easy to do. We're busy, and to go set ourselves up and be able to go ahead and, have that system in place, it's definitely a goal that we should, achieve to get to, but it's not always easy because we're busy and we're not able to go ahead and really give that time to every single donor to be able to go ahead and make sure we get that, we're on top of those relationships. But what I find for myself to test to see, if I'm engaged enough, and sometimes even we're not doing it as frequent as they're telling us to do, I still feel that there's it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that this is what's working for you now, and maybe there's a better way to go ahead and do it for the future. And sometimes not every single donor is open to you meeting with them and dealing with them, or sometimes their backgrounds doesn't really allow for it, so, to be able to do how, the optimal way. But what I find for myself is my litmus test is, before that annual campaign is really when, that's really our goal, our deadline. We have to make sure we get the money, we get the funds in. Like, how comfortable are you to make that call? Oftentimes, I'm embarrassed. I'm shy. I'm having stage fright. I'm hoping they're not going to answer the phone, but I also hope that they do answer the phone. And while I'm going through that whole experience in my head, what they're going to say or what they're not going to say, I'm feeling very cold towards them because I know that I did not necessarily do enough to connect to them in a way that I feel there's a meaningful relationship. So that's really, there are times when you might not necessarily meet with them more than once a year or deal with them more than once a year, but I feel comfortable. So there are times that I know this test for myself has worked for myself. If I'm shy to go ahead and talk to them again or ask for a new donation or speak to them something that I need for the school, is really how I know I'm not engaged enough, I need to do more, and this particular donor, the one thing that I did is not working. So it's really my test of what I need to do for each particular donor is, can I call them again? Do I feel dumb?
So, okay, great. You mentioned that you're a busy exec, and everyone's here is busy executives, and I'm sure that one of the reasons why people will tell you that they don't do an adequate job, having these high touches during the year is because they're like, I don't have the bandwidth. I'm a busy guy. So do you have suggestions on things that are easy ways to connect throughout the year that will make it so that when you get to showtime, game time, it's not that painful, shy? What are the things that if you are a busy executive, the things that you can easily bake in throughout the year?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily easy, but I would say that there's something that you got to be a little smart about it. And the way I look at it is, sometimes you got to go deep, and that deep connection allow it to go wider. Meaning, we can connect with somebody frequently, many times, every few months or however it works out for you and that particular donor. But if you don't have the time to be able to go ahead and connect with all your donors or even just that one, he's traveling. Many times, not even our fault. Many times the donors are coming and going. They're not taking your phone calls. They're with this simcha, this vacation, whatever it might be. And it's not of a lack of trying. It just, we don't really always have the opportunity to connect with every single person. So when you do have that opportunity, I feel you got to go deep. You got to connect with them in a way that is very meaningful, that connection lasts and leaves an impression for quite some time. They remember it, they felt it, you connected, they were impressed, they were moved, their wife spoke about it, their children told you about it. You know you hit the spot with that one time because you did something that connected on a really deep level. And that one-time connection, it carries further, and it means a lot to them. And for myself, in my litmus test, I kind of know how it landed from the feedback that I get a lot of times, and I say, okay, I might have only spoken to them once, I might have met them once, or whatever it might be, but it really worked. It went far enough that relationship, the connection that I made, the impact that I made, is lasting for longer than just considered a one-time.
So the strategy is, don't think of it just like, okay, I need a volume business in order to make all these touch points. If you find something substantial to do, that will give you a nice runway to say, this is going to last, good 4 to 6 months. They're going to be talking about this for a little while, and therefore I might only need 2 touch points that are really substantive instead of like sending them a cheesecake and do this, that thing, and that thing that may or may not. Maybe the cheesecake is the thing that they really adore, but whatever it is. But to basically choose a couple really good things a year.
Yeah, I'll share with you, a scenario where sometimes even the regular things that we try to do might not work for every single donor. So I have some non-Jewish donors, and I built some strong relationship with them. We spoke about secular donors. I even have some non-Jewish donors. And the way I got to know them was, we built a building, and he was a contractor, and we hit it off, and we just kept up. The regular typical things you do for Rosh Hashanah or Shavuos or Pesach.
They don't want a cheesecake on Shavuos?
They probably would if they knew what it is. You give some of these guys some cholent and potato kugel, and then they love it.
But, and they're putting a yarmulke on.
But your regular systems don't really work for them when you're trying to manage your system, because the things that are working for your Hamish and Frumer type of environment might not necessarily work. So, for people like that, in this particular case, I can share with you, a story that happened with this one donor. We would speak every so often, and I would add one more point that I think is also important. You have to connect with that deep connection that you're working towards. It has to be something you're also comfortable with. What I find for myself is sometimes, you're kind of thinking about them, but you're not necessarily taking into consideration the connection that you're comfortable with. Like I went out for dinner or lunch sometimes with some people, and it felt weird. It wasn't the thing that left me comfortable in that engagement. So like I know for myself that's not necessarily the thing that I'm going to be able to connect with that person. But this donor, I was speaking to him, and he says, and he's an interesting guy. He's in real estate, he's in construction, and he has he's in the boat race business. He's got these really cool boats. He's a world-class boat racer. And I never knew what it's all about. He used to talk to me about it. He has a ski resort, and he's got a lot of funky, cool things that he's into. And very successful guy. And he went ahead and mentioned to me one time, you never really come out to see the things that I do. And he was I felt like a little bit like resentment, a little hurtful. He's been helping me out, and I haven't really done anything to.
By the way, but he actually, what was nice is that he actually expressed that. Well, other people may not be self-aware enough to say, you're not into the things I'm doing. He did you a favor and said that. But just to tell you that many more people may feel that way, even if they're not explicitly telling you, you're not enough in my world.
No, that's true. And you have to be also, to capitalize on when they tell it to you and do something, with it. But in this case, I went ahead and I said, okay, when's the next boat race? And it was going to be in, I don't know, a month or so in Key West. And it's a far flight from Toronto. You got to take 2 flights. And I flew out there to be there by this boat race. And it's pretty cool, actually. And there's 60-foot long boats that go 200 miles an hour. And it's a whole club of people.
The whole culture.
It's a whole culture of everybody staging it with trailers and trucks and motorcycles. It's a very interesting thing. And I enjoy going because it turned out to be a fun thing to go to. But
now you have your own boat?
No, not yet. me going there to that race is for him something that he was so impressed, he was so touched. And when I got there, I was considered rabbi. So it was a little bit awkward. Your title is rabbi. Every single person there is not Jewish. And you can imagine all the uncomfortable things that are going on there they have to navigate. But, he told the guys over there, here's a few $1,000, take rabbi to the bar, give him every drink that he wants. And, I had a great time, but
I'm sure you did.
but that's kind of the thing that I did for him. He told me that this is what's important to him. And I went ahead and I go to the boat race. That's what I do every single year, and that's kind of my thing. And over there, it's my one time that I spend time with him. I'm not really in the circles. I don't really deal with this type of things. But, being able to go ahead and connect on something that was important to him, he shared it with me, like you said. And I said, okay, so that's my thing that I'm going to go ahead and do. And that kind of, I'm not engaging with him every single day. And over time, we've done a lot of great things together. But this is where it kind of started and built from there. And, it's growing, and a lot of big opportunities are coming out of it for our school. But it's really, going deep and allowing it to, carry through for the year.
So obviously choosing good engagement touch points that are relevant to the donor is key. He was explicit in saying, I would love for you to be part of my world. Have you found to ask good ways to ask good questions, that you're doing active listening so that it invites more of that kind of stuff? Where they're offering up the things that are important to them, and then you can find that common connection?
Yeah, so what I have found, and is one of my mentors is this guy, Stephen Screen. Also, before Jonah was around, before a lot of these Jewish, consulting, fundraising companies, and I was kind of looking for help. So I navigate to a lot of these, non-Jewish consulting. So they're still my mentors, and I keep up with them, and I learn a lot from them. But there's a lot of great things out there. And he used to always tell me, and we used to write these letters and appeal letters and stuff like that. He used to always tell me, keep everything at a fourth grade level. Your donors don't know what you're talking about. They don't understand what you do. And you're coming with this very sophisticated laundry list of all of and we're very proud of what we do, because we're all good at what we're doing, and we're very responsible, working hard and stuff like that. But like, the donor is going to be yawning, within a few minutes. The letter is going to become boring by the second sentence. And his whole thing was, keep everything, your engagement with your donors, at a fourth grade level, because that's how they understand it. They understand food, hunger, and dollars can solve that problem. So like $1.65 can feed a hungry homeless a warm meal on Thanksgiving Day is pretty much says everything. Somebody's hungry, they need food to solve their problem, and the money is able to go ahead and the donor is going to give the money. So how that translates into being able to listen. I remember going to a donor that I was trying to go to for a long time. He was unhappy with our school. Something bothered him. I knew what it was. I heard it from many different people in town. And in my mind, I knew the day is going to come when I'm going to be able to go ahead and fix that problem. And when I fix that problem, I'm going to be able to go have that meeting. And sure enough, that's what happened. I got the meeting. I email him. I tell him, Mr. So-and-so, I'd like to meet with you. I know this bothered you. I finally corrected it. Can we get together, meet? And sure enough, he said, no problem. Come by this coming Sunday. And I prepared really well. I want to finally tell the guy 7,000 things that we do that he didn't know about us. And I was really, in my mind, racing. And I'm getting to his house, and he invites me to the kitchen. And I'm sitting there, and he's yapping and yapping and yapping. And my mind is, okay, 1 second, I'm looking at my clock. When am I going to get my ass in? I have so many things to tell him. And he's going on. And at the end, it turned out that part of the conversation was telling me about the English programs, and they're so dumb. And, everybody knows exactly how to do it better, obviously. And he gives me an example about, the Wharton School of Business. If we can go ahead and change the way we do it in our schools, and we'll name it, and we'll sell it, and we'll brand it, and everything like that. And he gave me all different types of, Rockefeller, all the different naming examples, stuff like that. And I get to the end, it's 2 hours. He talked for 2 hours of all the ideas, and I'm finally telling the guy what I wanted. And he said, come back. And it was, I didn't get any money, didn't get my ask. But what I did, and what I heard, and what I took out from the entire thing was, I came unprepared. I came with an agenda of things that I wanted to share, and while I'm trying to share, I'm not really listening, but I really was listening, but then you can't share what you want to do. What I did after that was, I sent him an email, and the subject line was the Rockefeller School of Success. And in that email, I outlined some of the things that we're doing and we're working on. my subject line for every time I communicated was the Rockefeller School of Success. I now have a super strong relationship with this person. We don't talk so often, but I nailed it. I nailed it. Well, I listened to what is it that was important from something, a Michigas, could be whatever it is. And from there, I connected on that point, and now I'm getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if I'm going from zero, I'm getting a significant amount of money, and it's all about really just what was his idea.
Speaking his language.
And speaking his language, connecting it. So when we go, let the conversations just take their course.
Right.
Listen, pick up the point, connect on that point. That allows you to go ahead and sometimes use that one exchange or interaction or engagement to be able to go ahead and make him remember you, and it's deep, it's meaningful, it connects, and it's far-reaching, and that's something which is really simple, allows you not to, obviously you should come with a few things.
Right.
Because you don't know which one he's going to talk about. Having a few things in your pocket really, really works. I remember one time sitting down with somebody and mentioning about AI, and at first I was embarrassed to go ahead and say that I did some of our stuff on AI. I think a lot of guys are doing things on AI today. And probably this whole podcast is developed on AI.
Everything, I'm not even here.
Exactly. And it's fine. It's a tool. And I took out this proposal that I made. I said, wow, it's so interesting. Let me show you what I made in AI. He read it, and he says, $50,000. And I was like, he said, you didn't even ask. So, like, you don't know exactly what they're going to ask,
Yeah.
but, like, come with a few things. Because, like the previous Ron Carr said, 3 things. It's not a bad idea. You don't know exactly which way, what they're going to mention, what they're going to ask.
Right.
But, like, connect to them on the thing, and that kind of allows you to really keep that thing going. You respect to them, you connect with them, they heard you, and it works. It really works.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, Rabbi Septon. We're going to take one question because we're really out of time. Who wants to be the one person to ask that question? Yes.
How do you deal with donor advice? When donor advice is not what the school should be doing different. It's like, fundraising, you should be doing this or doing that. It's not like they're offering something that can help. They're offering they're offering their opinions on what you're doing right then, not like.
Are you saying they're not being solution-oriented, they're just complaining? Or what? I'm not sure.
They're being smarter than us, I think is what his question is. They have a lot of ideas for us, right?
They see somebody else doing, but it's completely not negate for us, and
So it's a great question. I love when they do that, because it kind of gives you an extra opportunity to listen to them and make them feel like you're actually hearing them out. What's most important at those moments is, as wrong as they are, and many times they're dead wrong, they don't understand how to run a school, and if they would be the principal of your school, they'd have 0 students. But they think that their school is going to be the best school and ours is the wrong school. So while they're going through those exercises of telling, it's great. Give them the platform. Listen to them. Hear it. Acknowledge it. Validate it as much as you can. At the end of the day, 90% of what they need to hear from you is that you actually cared about what they think is the smartest thing that they have to offer for your school. And if you're going to cut them off in that conversation, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to really see any money from that. So it's really, while they have, it's listen, acknowledge, tell them how smart they are. That's such a good idea. I even worked one time like this over here, whatever it might be. And then towards the end, you're able to go ahead and really bring yourself back into the conversation. But you really need to go ahead and come in from the back door in those situations.
You have to know where on the wall you want to get to, so that obviously each person that you're going to have to address, like you said, what their concerns are in your time, but you still are the GPS coordinates.
Yeah, 100%.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Rabbi Septon. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming today. I want to thank the organizers of EDN. If you asked a question today and you do not have a copy of the Date Your Donors book, please come up to the stage. I've got a handful of copies here. If you asked a question today and do not have a copy of the book. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Whoever has never read this book, he didn't ask me to present this, but it's actually a very, very good book.
Thank you.